A bad morning on the farm.
No, it makes me sad. Look at all the bees.
So,
We should check on that other hive.
not sure why, but we seem to have our first case of these are the few survivors in what was a very healthy and thriving hive. Um, we seem to have lost the entire colony, assuming the queen is in here somewhere. Bummer. Not how you want to start a Sunday morning. Well, good afternoon from St. Isidore's. As you can see from the first part of this video, it wasn't such a great morning on the farm. Chantel went out to walk the dogs, and as she normally does, comes through the garden, checks on the bees, and sees that there's a large pile of dead bees right in front of the hive. And she gets me, we open it up and looked, and we've lost this hive. There's a few hundred left in there, but we can't find the queen. Tried to look through the thousands of dead bees that were in the bottom of the hive and what was out in front of it. Couldn't find her. Not sure why. We are new to beekeeping. It's our first year with it. We had hoped to get both hives through the summer and through the winter, and hopefully come back again next spring and summer, but not the case for this one. The other hive just 10 feet away seems to be doing better. We'll open it up this afternoon and see if there's anything obvious that we need to be addressing, trying to take care of. And obviously you start to play the what if game. What if we had done this? What if we had done that? And that's I guess the reason I wanted to make this video is that sense, false sense that we are in control. And obviously we're not. These sorts of things, which I suppose uniquely happen, not uniquely, but they certainly happen more so on a farm, but I guess they could happen anywhere. It could happen in an urban setting as well. If somebody had a hive, the same thing could happen in a suburban backyard if you're a beekeeper. But on a farm, things happen, and lots of folks have asked us, I think, keep track and perhaps even watching this video of watching our move from 20 some years ago living in the city and increasingly moving out into the suburbs until we came out to the farm a year and a half ago. And you definitely have a new sense of awareness of this particular thing, of a sense of being out of control. I can't, used to be that when thunderstorms would happen or there'd be hail, I just thought it was cool. And now, when there's a thunderstorm and there's hail, I immediately think about what's in the garden and whether it's going to survive it, and all of the time and effort that went into it, and if that's going to be reduced to nothing in just a matter of minutes. Same as here. Spend the money on getting a bee package, and you put the time into installing it, taking care of it, feeding the bees, watching them grow and really just seem to thrive. And just like that, they're gone. Obviously, many farmers, friends of ours that have farms have dealt with this, the loss of livestock, which would be even tougher, especially if you were relying on them for milk or hoping to have them produce meat that you were going to store up for the year to feed your family, or perhaps generate revenue from that would help support your family. And you put a lot of time and effort and energy and money into those things, those resources, and then to have them lost suddenly is a challenge. And again, just wanted to make put some quick thoughts into a video about this. I think it's the beauty of nature. It's one of the reasons we wanted to get out to the farm and get back closer to nature is, one, I certainly think it's easier to encounter God in nature in some ways, not to say not in church, but when we're holed up in houses and apartments and things like that, I don't know, when you're out in the beauty of nature on a gorgeous day like today, incredible blue skies and perfect temperature, and you walk around, you just see the grandeur of creation. Well, that's one thing that certainly turns you, at least for many of us, myself, turns thoughts to God. But as I've told more than a few students who have taken nature classes or outdoor classes of mine, nature is humbling. The beauties of nature is that we are not in control. That if we go out, we go camping, or we work outside, we're doing things, we are at the mercy of the elements. And I think that's one of the tricks, the traps of a post-industrial world, is that we can be in our houses and we can be in control. We can control the climate. We can have a perfect temperature, perfect humidity. With medicine, we can take away even the slightest aches and pains. Food, an abundance of food that is relatively, it's very available. We go, most of us are able to go to grocery stores and have the means to be able to get whatever it is, and we don't know hunger. So we really are, there is this sense of control, that we are in control of most of these things that perhaps people of previous generations, people from, certainly a pre-industrial revolutionary world did not have that same sense of control. So it's a moment like this when you come out in the morning and you realize that despite all your efforts, and it's good, this is good for our children, our kids, to see that they are not in control. I mean, so many of the I think kids today, they don't even know necessarily what is in control or where it's coming from, that when they're in the house, they don't even think about the fact that it's a perfect temperature. Until it's taken away from us, until something is taken away. So when the kids are out here and they're asking questions of what happens and they see death, it's just insects, but on some, on this scale, we see death, and we certainly learn that we're not in control there. It's a good reminder. It's humbling. And I think for those of us as Christians, it's easy to talk about an abandonment to divine providence, but it's another thing to really live it, and to live it joyfully. So you give thanks to God. Give thanks to God for the countless blessings we have, the many grace-filled opportunities that we have for family and friends, and those things that we enjoy and perhaps take for granted every day. Those things that, whether it is death of a loved one, death of, if you're out here, death of pets or livestock, death of crops. You bite a bee, it's not going to work out for you. No. Or if you're down in South Carolina right now and you're dealing with flooding, and not only do you not have a climate controlled environment, it might be 3 feet underwater and you've lost everything you've had. And so Scripture today, the gospel, a man asks Jesus what he needs to do to inherit the kingdom of heaven. And his response to this man who has followed all the laws, he's done everything right his whole life. And it importantly says that Jesus loved him. And that's cool to see that. But he says he's lacking one thing. That's the neighbors. The other thing, when people ask us, what's one of the biggest things you've noticed since moving out to the country? Gunfire. Where was I? He says, you lack one thing. And he tells him to sell everything, sell all of his possessions, and follow him. Now, most of us hear that, and I think sometimes, especially folks who lack money, maybe relish the fact that Scripture says that it'll be hard for those who are wealthy to enter into the kingdom of heaven. But as Father said at Mass this morning, I think that's an easy one to sort of fall into, to thinking that somehow Jesus is talking to everybody else. I imagine in his time when he's ministering, the wealthy were not that great in number. So it's important for us to think, what is he saying to us? And Father said, was quoting Pope Francis from his recent visit to the United States, talking about our consumerist culture. And as Father pointed out, it's perhaps more of a question of what are the possessions, and not even the things, but the things that possess or consume us, that we need to sell. And it may be the things that occupy our time, that distract us and take us away from our family and loved ones. Maybe it's the things that possess us that aren't good for us, that whether it's alcohol or drugs or greed or lust or any of those things. But maybe it's a prideful sense of control. That thing that maybe we don't even really think about, that somehow, somewhere inside of us, there is this prideful sense that we are in control of our world, our lives, our health. Maybe that's the thing we need to get rid of, that keeps us from a sense, because on some level we all know we're not in control, and there's little daily reminders of that. And for some of us, that might be a source of pain and suffering on some low level, or a lack of peace. It robs us of happiness and joy. And that in true humility, in a sense that we are not in control of anything, that God is. There are a few things interiorly that we are in control of, but really we're not. And that in that abandonment, in that humble abandonment, find real joy and peace and happiness. So I give thanks for this farm. It's been a pretty terrific reminder for us in the last year and a half of a number of things that haven't gone exactly the way we would have liked, and the challenges of a lot of hard work that doesn't always pay off, that you don't see the fruits of your labor, or something, unfortunately, like you wake up like this in a morning and realize you've lost, not everything, but lost this, and we're going to have to start over again. And so we do. We start over again, but we give thanks. And so thanks for watching. Like I said, just some thoughts on a beautiful day, and a sad morning, but a joyful afternoon. So time to go spend with family and enjoy it out here in God's country. And blessings to all of you. And I hope you have a great week ahead. Wasn't expecting to make a second video this weekend, but did. So I'm gonna go crack that other hive open, get the bee suit on, go in there and look at it, see if they're okay. Maybe go do a little bit of welding this afternoon. That'd be fun. And then just relax and enjoy cool weather now. Thankfully, fall is upon us. So I think since the inside fireplace is out of order at the moment, out of commission, we'll have to go to the fire pit and have a fire outside this evening. So that's it from St. Isidore's. God bless, and have a great week.